Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Learn at Home FB Live. For the discussion today, the topic will be on teacher-made vocabulary diagnostic instruments for early and middle ages. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Place your questions on the comment box allotted during the session and they will be addressed by our speaker later on. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal. And now, to proceed with our webinar this evening, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. He is a consultant and evaluator for K-12 Philippine Basic Education, the curriculum and academic consultant of Sisters of Mary. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Brother Roderick M. Aguirre.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to Learn at Home series. Again, my hair is long and I don't know how to handle this. But nonetheless, we're not here to look at and analyze how I look and about my hair, but we're here as promised last week that I will share 2 simple ways how we can come up with teacher-made or even at home for parents out there. You can create your own vocabulary diagnostic instruments to diagnose your kids and your students' vocabulary level in early grades. That will be from grade 1 to grade 3, and then grades 4 to grade 6. You can do this every year, at the end of the year, at the beginning of the school year, or you can do this at every end of the key stage, like at the end of grade 3, the beginning of grade 4, at the end of grade 6. So whichever you decide on, make sure that you have your own textbooks. Because when we select content words for the vocabulary, it must be based on the books that you have subscribed. Like in my case, I'm using Learn at Home series from Bibal. So I took some examples for the content words from this book, especially for the subjects for my vocabulary content diagnostic instruments for my students in grade 4, grade 5, and grade 6. I took that here because you cannot use vocabulary that were not part of the instruction. So when we would like to diagnose our students' vocabulary entry level to grade 5, you use the words that they encountered or learned in the previous grade level, and that will be grade 4. In like manner, if you would like to create diagnostic instruments on the content vocabulary knowledge of students for grade 6, you must use the words that they encountered in the books that they use in grade 5. All right, so this is what's called teacher-made or homemade vocabulary diagnostic instrument. So make sure that you have your own books at home when you create this. So tonight, I'm going to share to you how to create step by step. I made it so detailed so that you would know how to create your own diagnostic instruments at home and for teachers to use online as well. So to begin with, I would like to share my slide with you. All right, so sure. All right, so our title for our topic this evening is all about teacher-made vocabulary diagnostic instruments for early and middle grade. And tomorrow afternoon on YouTube, I'll be sharing with you how to create diagnostic instruments for decoding. That will be for grades 1 to grade 3. All right, so I'll just put this aside. I'll be using this later on. I use the books on Learn at Home for my creation of my diagnostic instruments. And I use Smart Class Science 3 for the content words that I got from science. I'll just put it aside and then we'll get to the materials later on when we get to the part where we create the sight words and the content words diagnostic instrument. All right, so here's our flow for the evening's discussion. I'll try to make it as short as possible, but I prepared 49 slides. But I'll not share a lot of my stories again. I'll just focus on just diagnostic instruments creation. So we'll start with introduction, again, identifying and busting myths about vocabulary instruction. And then we'll go for analyze this, contextualizing. I show to you some of the anecdotal records that show in different perspectives students who may have problems in vocabulary development or vocabulary knowledge skills acquisition. And then we proceed to discussion and we're going to understand the elements of vocabulary and which elements of this and which of these elements of vocabulary are we going to focus on in creation diagnostic instruments. And then we'll have open forum for questions out there. I know that some of you will have questions like, paano gumawa ng diagnostic instruments and vocabulary at talasalitaan sa Filipino at sa mother tongue? The process is still the same, right? The process is the same for as long as you have your reading materials, you have your modules and your modules and all other reading materials in every grade level, that would be enough, all right? And if you have basic sight words like belch, basic sight words, and Fry's graded sight words, that would also be enough for us to create one of the components of vocabulary diagnostic tools. So all of these are available. The graded sight words from Dolch graded sight words up to grade 3, and Fry's graded sight words from grade 1, pre-elementary up to high school and up to junior high school. You can all download that online. So they're all available online. But for the content words, they're not available online. As I've said, you need to use your textbooks or your modules for that. All right. And then I'll give you some conclusions, implications, and challenges that you will be facing in the creation of diagnostic instruments and the importance of the results, using the results of the diagnosis of vocabulary for intervention and instruction to our students. All right. So let us begin with identifying and busting myths about vocabulary learning. So I have a little light right here. So I'll just adjust a little so that it won't look dark. Oh wow. So that's how I look when I have a light on this side here. Anyway. All right, let us begin with statement number 1. It says that in learning another language, let's say that because in the Philippines, we're using the mother tongue based multilingual education. So say our students are learning to read or learning to acquire vocabulary skills in Filipino and then English. This is a statement that, a lot of teachers and parents would say. In learning another language, vocabulary is not important. It's not important as grammar or other areas. That's why a lot of teachers and a lot of parents would like to give more focus on grammaticality than of the correct use of the content words. All right, this is a myth. All right. In fact, most of our students may not be able to have grammatical statements. They may just be using content words, but it may say meaning a bit, but the meaning is intact. A good example would be one-word sentences, holophrastic idea of holophrastic one-word sentences like go, run. That is already a sentence and it has a meaning on it. If our students are able to use 1, 2 words, content words, and meaning is conveyed, that is more important. And we get to know that our students are now developing the vocabulary and they are using these words appropriately. They may not be able to use appropriately prepositions, articles, but it will be learned later on as they move on up to the other grade levels. But what we want our students to be able to know is that they can represent their ideas in using words that represent their ideas. And we're going to discuss the relationship between concept and vocabulary in a while. Therefore, statement number 1, vocabulary is important. The part of teaching phonics and phonological awareness and phonemic awareness revolves around understanding the word. And we're teaching decoding skills to our students because we need them to understand the word, the structure of the word, so that they can get the meaning of the word and therefore facilitate reading comprehension. In that note, statement number 1, in learning another language, vocabulary is not as important as grammar or other areas, is a myth and it's busted. All right, so let's proceed to statement number 2. All right, using word lists to learn L2 vocabulary is unproductive. There was one traditional practices of teachers before. I was raised and taught that way that before we start our classes, our teachers would always, in any subject for that matter, mathematics, science, or TLE or EPP, uh, our teachers would provide us with vocabulary first before they start our lesson. And then later on, when I become a teacher, we call this unlocking of vocabulary. Alas, it worked. All right, it does work because for our students uh, to be able to acquire new words and be able to focus more on what structure or what pattern they need to learn for that day or for that week, it has to be explicitly taught to the students that they will pay attention to this certain words or group of words. Therefore, this is not unproductive. In fact, it really helps. Using word lists to learn second language vocabulary is very productive. It's explicit. Explicit teaching of students of vocabulary that they will encounter in the lesson is very productive, very helpful for our students who are learning to read or are learning to communicate in that target language. Therefore, statement number 2 is busted. It is productive. Therefore, teachers out there, please think about introducing in your online modules, in your reading modules, in your in your distance education modules, individualized modular learning. You may want to rethink the way you present your lessons. You may want to start with vocabulary, and then later on I'll show you how the relationship will be done in the early grades, moving up to the middle grades. Okay, dokie. And then we proceed to statement number 3. It says, the best vocabulary learners make use of one or two really specific vocabulary learning strategies. All right, this is a myth. Why? Because ours, no matter how proficient we are in vocabulary, no matter how many vocabulary we have acquired, we still struggle learning vocabulary on certain reading materials that we encounter. And therefore, we vary our strategies from one type of reading demand to another. Therefore, there is no specific type of learning strategy that could help students to be able to acquire and understand vocabulary. Therefore, as part of the teaching and part of helping our students be able to read and acquire reading comprehension skills in a bigger perspective, we need to provide them with lots of strategies so that they will have to choose which of these strategies best serve them well. All right, therefore, statement number 3 is, together we say, busted. All right, let me wipe my perspiration a little. The light is hot in the face, so anyway, we'll have to endure this. Let's analyze this. Here are some situations. I'm presenting to you three perspectives of for us to know if our students are having problems with vocabulary. Let's start with the perspective of the student. Kid's perspective, okay? What this feels like to me, I mean, students who are struggling with vocabulary. Children will usually express their frustration and difficulties in a general way, which statements like, I hate reading, or this is stupid. But if they could, this is how kids might describe how their vocabulary difficulties affect their reading. 1, I heard my friend tell what happened in the movie, but I didn't really understand what he said about. Like, did you encounter some of your friends saying, ano yung word na yun? Ano ibig sabihin ng word na yun? So, you know that it affects the whole understanding, not just what you are reading, but also what you're watching. If you encounter some words that you do not understand, and if your mind is not able to provide answer to what is the meaning of the word, your mind lingers on that, and it somehow impedes you in continuing on to understanding the material. All right, this is one of the encounters. These are some of the examples of our students having difficulty. It's a shout out. Okay, it is a shout out that they are struggling with comprehension via difficulty with vocabulary. Next, a child may say, I feel like I just use the same words over and over in my writing. Like, students will say, I don't know other words. I don't know how to write or to express my thoughts because I do not know other words to to express my ideas. So these are some students who have problems with extending vocabulary or enhancing their vocabulary skills through synonyms and antonyms. Possibility is that a lot of teachers did not teach them antonyms and synonyms and how to use the thesaurus and even how to use the dictionary. All right. Again, vocabulary acquisition must be explicitly taught to our students. We cannot just, hope and pray to God that it will happen. It won't. All right. And another statement that students are having difficulty with vocabulary would say, I don't like to read on my own because I don't understand lots of the words of the book. So they are not independent readers. I think this is one of the many problems that our students are encountering right now, that especially the opening of the classes for the public schools in October 5, I think some of them, if not a majority of the students will be saying, ayokong mag-aral lang sa bahay na mag-isa kasi may mga salita hindi ko naman naiintindihan. Okay lang sana kung nandiyan si teacher kasi pwede kong itanong kay teacher kung anong ibig sabihin ng words na yon. O kaya si teacher kahit hindi namin tinatanong na somehow nalalaman ni teacher ang expression namin kung hindi namin naiintindihan ng mga salita. So this is one of the many problems right now for our students. They will be struggling with understanding the materials that they will be given to independently read and learn from. Is because there will be some words that they do not know yet. So therefore, it's very important for us, teachers out there and parents out there, to diagnose the vocabulary skills of our students. And that's tonight. All right, let's have a perspective from parents. Parents, what I see at home, ano nakikita ng mga magulang na posible na itong mga nakikita niya, yung pala ay problema pala ng mga bata sa vocabulary. Kaya lang, hindi niya mapinpoint dahil hindi nga sila marunong mag-diagnose. Anong instruments ang gagamitin nila? Stay tuned, and that's what we're going to discuss tonight. All right. So here are some clues for parents that a child may have difficulties as a result of his or her vocabulary. Okay. She's unable to tell about her day in a way that makes sense. Like kinakausap ang mga magulang. So mga magulang, importante na simple diagnosis lang, rule of thumb. Malalaman mo na your kids are having difficulty expressing their thoughts, probably have vocabulary problems because they're not able to express their thoughts and they struggle to look for words to express their feelings and ideas and emotions, just simply to express what they did for that day. So if these are things that your students struggle or your kids struggle with, definitely your students may have not yet, we are not yet sure, but this is a rule of thumb possibility that your students have vocabulary problems. And if you have this kind of situation, you may want to diagnose that. Okay, diagnose your children, and later on you'll know how. Okay, I'm so excited, and I hope that even parents out there will know how to create their own diagnostic tools and be able to help their children acquire vocabulary. All right, and then she misuses common words like minsan hindi na napopronounce ng tama yung word o kaya yung word na to nagagamit sa ibang konsepto. So these are some signs that our students have vocabulary deficit or struggling with vocabulary acquisition. Therefore, we need to diagnose that already. Next, he doesn't link words from a book to similar words from another book or from real life. Meaning, kahit na nakita ng bata yung word na yon sa science, pagdating sa English, nandun pa rin naman yung word na yon, hindi na niya malaman na parehas lang naman yung word na yun. Bakit hindi niya maintindihan? Okay? So that's what we call as transitioning of words or word retention skills. We need to diagnose that. Next, he's often not able to find the right word to describe something. So expressing. So you know now that vocabulary is very important, not just for reading, but also for communicating and expressing and establishing relationship, not just with others, but definitely with the members of the family. Let's now have another perspective, this time the perspective of the teacher, of possible situations or shout outs of our students that indicate that they have vocabulary problem. Okay, vocabulary problems. Here are some clues for teachers that may have difficulties as a result of his or her vocabulary. One, she has questions about a lot of word meanings in a grade appropriate text. Ibig sabihin grade appropriate text. Itong mga libro na to na pinapublish po, mga kapatid natin dyan sa labas, mga magulang po natin, ang mga libro po to, ang mga selections dyan po ay grade appropriate. Ibig sabihin, mga basal reading books po ito, dumaan po yan sa readability test. At may mga word count po ang tawag doon. Tapos yung mga vocabulary na to ay base po yan sa graded sight words, the sight words na dapat alam ng mga bata in that particular grade level. And they need to know all this vocabulary in that grade level so that when they enter to the next grade level, hindi sila nahirapan kasi padagdag ng padagdag ang mga salita. Okay? So, the point there is that if our students have problems with word meanings in particular grade level text, that means their level of vocabulary is not for that grade level. There's a high possibility that they did not acquire the vocabulary skills that they should have acquired in the previous grade level. Therefore, we need to diagnose them appropriately. And next, he seems to have a weak vocabulary, like he doesn't know not the synonyms per se, but denotation as well. And coming with the denotation would come with it would be pronunciation too. So these are some indicators that our students are having problems with vocabulary. And next, she's not able to make connections among words in various texts, like hindi niya makuha ang meaning ng salita na yon in context. Okay, especially for connotations and associations. It's often not able to find the right word to describe something. So clearly communicating thoughts and ideas utilizes vocabulary. All right. So these are some of the situations that our students may have may show behavior on their problems with vocabulary. So pag nakita niyo na po na may ganun na mga problema, mayroon ng ganung mga sitwasyon ng mga bata, so diagnose na. Pero what I'm saying is that kahit hindi pa dapat lumalabas mga problema na yun, mga indicators na yun, we should always diagnose our students so that we would know, are they prepared to attack, okay, the reading materials they're supposed to read in the grade level. All right. So let's now proceed to discussion, understanding how teacher-made diagnostic instruments for early and middle grades. I prepared about 4 questions. Okay. So let's begin the first question. What is vocabulary? Just for us to understand what vocabulary is. Okay. So vocabulary represents concepts, and concepts are inside our head. And the concepts inside our head, we do not think in words. Okay, people, we do not think in words. We think in concepts. We think in images. We think in concepts around our environment, like a tree. When we think of the tree, we think of a picture of a tree, and when we represent that concept in our head, we say the word tree. All right. I'm not going to linguistically represent the arbitrariness of the relationship of concept word. Just suffice to know that words represent those concepts inside concepts that students already know. Now, our students already know a lot of concepts. Okay, they from 0 up to grade 1, 2, 3, 4. They have encounters with the environment. They have encounters with their friends, their family, and so on and so forth. Therefore, they have acquired certain concepts. What they lack would be the necessary appropriate word for them to represent those concepts inside their heads. And if we do not provide them, we do not teach them explicitly those words to present their ideas, so they just remain concepts. And it's really frustrating for students to not be able to express their thoughts and ideas, and that will be part of the concepts. Okay, let's have an example. Inside your head would be a picture of a house. Sa Filipino o Tagalog, ang tawag natin dyan ay bahay. So ang tawag po natin dyan ay denotation. There's a literal meaning of the concept bahay. Okay? So pwede po natin extend yan na karton. Bahay na gawa sa karton. Bahay na gawa sa bato. Bahay na gawa sa nipa. Bahay na gawa sa yero. Bahay na gawa sa kubo. Sa isang konsepto lamang, bahay, okay, isang konsepto, nirepresent natin sa outward po niyan, expressive vocabulary, bahay, ini-extend po natin sa karton, bato, nipa, yero, kubo, ilan na ang naturo natin na salita sa bata. Bahay, bahay na karton, bahay na bato, bahay na nipa, bahay na yero, bahay na kubo, 6 na po na salita. Ibig sabihin po nun, hindi po ibig sabihin na kailangan palaging iba-ibang salita ang tuturo sa bata. Pwede pong isang salita, tapos ikukonekta po natin sa ibang words. Mas madaling maintindihan ng bata ang connections ng mga salitang to if we connect it to a concept. Look at our premise. words are easy to understand if it's related to the concept the students already know. Halimbawa, syempre nakakita ng bata ng bahay na karton. Kung hindi pa, di ba pakita ka ng larawan? Bahay, batuan. So, same principle applies for mother tongue and for English. So, kung magtuturo po tayo ng talasalitaan sa mga bata or vocabulary or words to our students in the early grades, and especially for the early grades and the middle grades, importante po na may mga larawan po tayo to connect it to our concept, okay, or to our students' concepts. All right, let's just summarize our answer to the question 1 with vocabulary. So vocabulary refers to the words we must understand to communicate effectively. Very important. And vocabulary development is the process of acquiring new words to use in daily life, and more specifically, the basis for learning any language. Vocabulary development focuses on helping students learn the meaning of new words and concepts in various contexts and across all academic content areas. And finally, teaching students to develop vocabulary means providing explicit instruction on important words from text and teaching students strategies to help them learn word meanings independently. All right, so that's our answer for question number 1. Let's now proceed to what is the importance of vocabulary knowledge to reading comprehension, right? So we have here again, I presented this along, I think, way back in August, way back talaga, no? Parang tagal-tagal. Itong August lang po. Ito po yung sinasabi po natin na cognitive foundation of learning to read, which I've been using in all of my programs. Not all, but the programs that I've been doing for and designing for teaching beginning reading and teaching early literacy. Okay, so what we want for our students is reading comprehension, and there's a dichotomy of the reading comprehension skills. We have the language comprehension and decoding skills, and under language comprehension we have the background knowledge of our students, and we have the linguistic knowledge. Under the linguistic knowledge we have knowledge on sounds, knowledge on sentence structure, and knowledge on meaning. All right, and then under decoding we have 2 basic skills: the cipher knowledge and the lexical knowledge, which is the vocabulary knowledge. All right, and for our students to gain cipher knowledge, they need to know phonemic awareness skills, and of course we have knowledge alphabet principle. That would be for cipher knowledge too, and for vocabulary, and then letter knowledge and some concepts about print. Okay, on that note, question number 2, our answer for question number 2 is that vocabulary plays a fundamental role in the reading process, contributes greatly for a reader's comprehension. If students do not understand the word, they will not basically understand the whole selection itself, right? Especially the content words. A reader cannot understand the text without knowing what most of the words mean. So kung ito po ay passage pa lang, sa first sentence pa lang, nag-struggle na siya sa mga words na yun, definitely the comprehension of the whole passage, the whole selection will be compromised. And next, students learn the meanings of most words indirectly through everyday experience of oral and written language. It is very important for us if we want to teach our students vocabulary is in any language, that will be mother tongue, Filipino, and English. We need to always communicate with them, use the language as often as they can and we can with them. So, mga magulang po sa bahay, kung gusto nyo po mga bata magkaroon ng mas mataas na inclination towards reading in Filipino and English, so kausapin nyo po ang mga bata sa bahay ninyo in Filipino and English. All right? In other words, learn through carefully designed instructions. So like patterns, spelling, so tinuturo yan directly to our students. And let's proceed now to what are the elements of reading comprehension. For our students to be able to do reading comprehension, they need language comprehension skills, and they also need decoding skills. And both language and comprehension skills and decoding skills require vocabulary knowledge. So vocabulary knowledge po natin cuts across two set skills of reading comprehension: language comprehension skills and decoding skills. Therefore, when we teach decoding skill, it must be in the context of a word. And when we teach our students sentence structure, sound, meaning of sounds, and meaning, it must be within the context of a word. Okay? Para po maintindihan ng mga bata. All right? So let's focus on vocabulary knowledge. So vocabulary knowledge may be subdivided into 2 set skills. We have word meaning skills and we have word structure skills. Okay, this is what we call as the word attack skills. Now, for the early grades, these are the skills, vocabulary skills that students must be able to acquire. So we have denotation. That would be word meaning skills. They must know denotation. So when they see the word, they know exactly the word. So word attack skills. Kaya nga po that's denotation. And then we have phonics skills in word structure, and we have word patterns for word structure in the early grades. As they progress, this should be sight words too, sight words of course. And then for the middle grades, denotation will be now in a higher form, which is connotation, synonyms, and then antonyms. That will be for grade 4, 5, 6 na po. So kung ano mga tinuro ng mga salita sa early grades, dapat pagdating sa 4, 5, 6, iko-continue siya, pero dadagdagan ng connotation, dagdagan ng synonyms pa antonyms. Halimbawa, sa early grades, naroon mo sila ng red. Kunwari, red na vocabulary. Connotation niya, color red. Ang kanyang word ay red. Anong connotation niya? Siguro ay happy. Sabihin lang natin, connotation happy. Synonym po ng red. Ano bang synonym ng red? Scarlet. Okay, scarlet. Antonym ng red. I don't know if there's an antonym for red. So if it's scarlet, kung red, yellow ba? I think there's no antonym for that. The point is that kung anong naturo na words sa early grades must be extended to connotations and synonyms and antonyms, especially the adjectives in the middle grades 4, 5, 6. The problem there is that if the teachers in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 did not list down, did not make an inventory of the words they taught in each grade level so that it will be forwarded. Ito po yung sinasabi kong profiling noon, student profiling na dapat pinapasa-pasa sa mga bata. Part po yan ng academic profile ng mga bata. Ano yung mga salita na natutunan na ng mga bata sa grade 1? Ipapasa sa grade 2, ipapasa sa grade 3, para pagdating sa grade 4, ito ng mga salita. So pwede na ako magdagdag ng connotations, synonyms, and antonyms. So at least alam ng mga teachers kung ano ang mga alam na ng mga salita ng mga bata. Okay, next, pagdating po sa middle grades, phonics will now proceed to spelling. So mas mataas na forms ng spelling. Then sight words pa rin, continuation po rin po ang sight words hanggang grades, even high school po. And then we have word patterns. Papasok po tayo sa middle grades, basic word formation like root words, compound words. So ito na po yung ating, and all of this, ito po ang ating assess. Sa early grades, dapat matest po natin kung may denotation skills, word meaning skills ang bata on denotation. And then ang bata po ba mayroong word structural skills on phonics and sight words. And then for the hindi ko po tuturo ngayon ng word patterns kasi tuturo ko po yan bukas on decoding skills. At saka mahaba-haba po yan kasi tinanggal ko ngayong gabi para bukas ko po yun. Alright? And then we have, kasi ang word patterns naman po hindi ginagamitan ng libro. Okay, the word patterns are used using the established word patterns like in English CVC silent E pattern, and so sa Filipino ganun po, katinig, patinig, katinig, na pantig. Okay, so bukas po natin pag-usapan yun kasi we'll focus more tomorrow on decoding, creating diagnostic tools for decoding skills of the student. So focus lang po tayo sa denotation skills hanggang sight words ng early grades at middle grades. Okay. So let's now have question number 3. How do teachers in the early grades create their own vocabulary diagnostic instruments? Isa-isahin po natin na unang-una muna tayo denotation. So word meaning skills on denotation lang sa early grades. Sir, ano po yung tuturo namin sa denotation? So ang denotation po natin would be at the end of grade 3 na po for English. Filipino din po. Ang mother tongue siguro pwede na rin po rin sa grade 2 I think kasi nga nagsimula siya sa mother tongue. Pero I highly suggest po sana na by the end of grade 3 po natin dapat i-test sa mga bata on diagnosis so that when they enter grade 3, klaro po natin kung na-master ng mga bata ang mga basic skills sa grades 1 to 3. Bakit po? Beginning reading pa lang sila. So huwag mo nang mag-diagnosis kasi talagang may problema ang bata. Lalabas na, wala silang alam sa vocabulary. Sir, merong nagsasabi sa akin nun, Sir, ang dami po problema ng bata namin sa grade 2. Bakit po? Marami po siyang walang alam ng salita. Opo, talaga po. Wala pa siyang alam ng mga salita sa Filipino and English dahil nga beginning reader pa lang siya. So dapat vocabulary instruction pa lang tinuturo natin. By the end of grade 3, magda-diagnose na tayo for the entry to grade 4. Ibig sabihin, dapat natutunan niya ang skill ng denotation. Naturo ng teacher yung skills na yan from grades 1 to grade 3. Kung ang bata grumadyo at nag-move up from grade 3 to grade 4 at hindi niya alam ang denotation word meaning skills, aba may problema po, hindi grade 3 teacher ang sisisihin lang po. Kung di sisisihin po natin ang teacher mula preschool hanggang grade 3. Dahil nga beginning reading po natin ay mula preschool hanggang grade 3. Aba 4 years po yan mga kapatid sa pananampalataya sa pagtuturo. Sa katapusan pa ng grade 3 natin sila at test natin. Kung hindi man katapusan ng grade 3, at least in the middle of grade 3. Kasi ang tagal po nun. Key stage po yan natin. Ha? Okay. So, what are the steps to do this? All right. So, knowing explicitly the literal meaning of words, especially for common nouns and verbs, would help our students greatly on reading comprehension. So, what you need to do is list down 10 common nouns in various categories like parts of the body, members of the family, color, shapes, things, and objects. So, pwede po niyong gamitin ay kumuha po kayo ng smart book. So, kung sa amin po sa Vibal, meron po kami dito. So, kung parts of the body, so kumuha ka dito ng mga salita na ginamit sa libro. Remember, we are, especially for the early grades, we are diagnosing whether they acquired the vocabulary that they use in the early grades. In the early grades, ibig sabihin sa mga libro. So gagamitin po natin ang mga salita doon sa librong ginamit po natin. So in my case, ito pong kinuha ko ng mga libro kasi ito po yung ang hawak kong series K2, K hanggang high school nga po. Ngayon, kung kayo gusto nyo magbigay sa akin ng mga libro, o magbigay kayo ng libro at evaluate po. So far po naman, ang Vibal pa lang po nagbibigay sa akin ng mga libro. Alright? So community. Then after that, select pictures that represent the 10 listed common nouns for students to match and pronounce. So hindi lang dapat match ng bata, kundi nang po-pronounce din po niya yung word. Okay? Next, administer this assessment by asking students to name and look at each picture and select from the flashcards the appropriate word to label it. Ask the student to place the words beside the picture and let him/her pronounce it. Do the same to the rest of the entry. So ang kailangan po natin ay dapat may mga strips po kayo ng mga words na nandoon tapos para i-match po na. Example po natin ito. Ito po yung mga words na ginawa ko sa libro. You have boy, market, pillow, girl. Sorry. Yellow, stairs, plant, jar, street, chair, mango, truck, calendar. So what you can, for teachers out there, pwede pong gawin nyo po dito ay, sa mga magulang po, pwede po kasing i-cut out po ito sa mga karton na print out nyo po, tapos cut out nyo po yan, tapos i-match ng mga salitang yan sa mga pictures na mapakita mo. So after that, i-print out nyo po ito. So ito yung student copy format, ito mga pictures. So ang gagawin po ng teacher, ng bata ay, observe po ninyo, observe. Itong mga words na ito ay more than 10. Okay? Para malaman nyo na hindi nag-guess ang bata ng salita, dagdagan nyo pa ng 2. So ito po yung akin dito. Kung 10 po yung pictures na yan, so nagdagdag ako ng 2 para panggulo yung 2. Alright? So gagawin ng bata, i-match yung mga words na kinat-out po ninyo, i-match ng bata dito sa mga words na yon. So pagka-match niya, dapat sabihin ng bata yung salita. Halimbawa, minatch niya yung salita na truck, inilagay niya dun sa truck na number 1. So dapat sabihin niya truck. Okay? So yun po ang proseso po natin. Ngayon, si nanay o si teacher sa bahay, ang gagawin niya, may hawak yung student response sheet. So syempre may pangalan po ng bata. Syempre, siya naman, for the early grades po ito at the end of grade 3. So track po, halimbawa, na-match ng bate yung salita, tick the correct. Kung incorrect po. Eh syempre, kung na-pronounce, kung mali yung word, pero kasabagay, kung mali yung word, pero tamang pronunciation, edi correct mo tamang pronunciation. So mali yung kanyang word, tapos tamang pronunciation. Ibig sabihin ng bata, may problema sa pagmamatch ng word to the concept, pero tamang kanyang pronunciation. Po natin. Okay? So, the same thing will happen to truck, plant, mango, jar, boy, stairs. So, isa-isahin po yon. Hindi po ito time test. Okay? So, make it as a game sa bahay. Mga magulang, so mga teachers, pwede yung sabihin sa mga, pwede po kayo may kit, nakakit po yan, na ipapadala nyo sa mga magulang, tapos i-orient yung mga magulang paano gawin to, tapos sila po ang mag-match, maggagawa nito, tapos magtitik po niyan. Sana honest nga naman sila, sabihin, anak, hindi yan tama. Yun nga lang problema natin kung magulang gumawa, tapos talagang gusto nilang pumasa ang mga bata. Pero dapat sabihin nyo sa mga magulang na huwag niyong tutulungan kasi gusto natin malaman kung ano po ang problema ng mga bata para makaprepare po ako ng tamang instruction at matulungan po natin ang bata. Ngayon kasi kung tuturuan niyo, knowledge niyo po ang lalabas sa results po, hindi po namin tutulungan ng mga bata. Nandito po kami para hindi po i-down ng mga bata this diagnosis for us to know ano pa ang kulang na dapat ituro namin sa inyo na. Okay, so sana honest lang po ang ating results. So sana po kung ganun po ang pagkakasabi natin at naniwala mga magulang at saka mga magulang out there, then we will be able to diagnose specifically anong problema ng bata. So we would like to know kung bata namamatch na denotative, namamatch yung salita sa konsepto. Yun po ang basic meaning ng vocabulary. Namamatch ba ng bata ang kanyang konsepto sa salita o ang salita sa tamang konsepto at napopronounce niya. Alright? So basic lang po ito. This is for the end of grade 3. So same thing will happen also for vocabulary, for verbs. So less than 10 common verbs in the categories like human and animal movements. And then select pictures to present the 10 listed common verbs for students to match and pronounce. So same process kung gagawin po natin. So may cut out ka ulit nun. Tapos ito po yung student response sheet. Imamatch ulit ng bata sa mga doon sa mga pictures. Kung fly po, dapat may ibong lumilipad, mga ganon. So, nagmamatch po kayo ng pictures. So, pwede pong mga magulang out there, meron lang kayong sheet na ginawa kasi ito papadala nyo sa mga magulang. Tapos, ipapaikot nyo siguro sa mga pamilya para isa-isa po. Or kung gusto nyo po ay set po, 5-5, 5 sudyante na sabay-sabay. Tapos, para po may resulta po kayo palagi. Alright, fly, correct, tick lang ng tick, alright, nakukuha po. Alright. Now, if you want a copy of tong sample po ng aking student response sheet format po, I will be providing Vibal with a handout format of my PowerPoint so that you will have a copy of this. Hindi pa ako nagbibigay ng aking concept paper kasi nga hindi ko pa yan napapublish na articles na sinusulat ko. Kasi lahat ng ginagawa ko ng mga PowerPoint po ay gumagawa muna ako ng articles. I do research first. So, sa bilis po ng pacing at saka dahil sa pandemic, hindi ko nasasubmit pa yung mga articles ko ng mga concept papers. Kaya I call it still concept paper dahil hindi pa siya napapublish. So, I cannot say it's still it's already an article. Okay? So, baka kayo unang kasi mag-publish nun kaysa sa akin. Anyway, let's proceed to word structure skills, phonics skills po. So, ito po ang dapat ma-test po natin sa early grades. So diagnostic components of phonics skills would be knowledge of letter names and then knowledge of letter sounds. Okay, how do we create? So knowledge of letter names or sounds, the most basic assessment of student reading preparedness and grades would be, do they know the sounds of individual letters in the alphabet, or they can match the sounds to the letters. So list the full set of letters of the alphabet in random order. 10 letters to a row. Okay, 10 letters to a row and column, 10 colors to a row and column, and then 10, using a clear, large, and familiar font. Ibig sabihin po, kung ano ang ginagamit po ng letter sa writing, ganun po dapat ang lalabas sa instrument. Okay? So writing letters po ang gagamitin natin na font. Example would be Century Gothic. Kailang Century Gothic po, ang kanyang small letter ay hindi pang sulat natin na yun na merong kuwit sa baba. So papalitan po natin yun ng Times New Romans o kaya Georgia. Alright? Content, Microsoft Word, it's most similar to standard children's textbooks in horizontal rows with each letter presented multiple times. So paulit-ulit po siya na combination of upper cases and lower cases. Okay? So we will be using the Marungko approach since we're using beginning reading approach po natin sa grade 1, sa preschool up to grade 3 is Marungko approach. So we'll be using the Marungko approach in the order of MAS. So alam po ng mga teachers out there yung order po ng ating Marungko of the letters of the alphabet. And then we have administered this assessment by asking students to name, not sound, the letters that they can within a 1-minute period. So ito po ay time test. Una munang papagawin mo sa bata ay name the letters. The second time, ang papagawa natin sa bata ay same pa rin na instrument, pero they're now going to sound off the letters. Okay? So, halimbawa po, ito po. Okay, so we have, ito po yung hawak ng teacher. Ibig sabihin, alam ng ang pagbasa po ay mula left to right, 1 to 10, and then from top to bottom. So ito po ang ating matrix format po. Sinabi po natin 10 rows and then 10 columns. So gamitin po natin ang marongko. Okay, wait. Right, there we go. Sorry. Alright. So ito po ay student response sheet po natin. Pag sinabi natin student response sheet, ito yung hawak ng nanay o hawak ng teacher. So pag mali po ang sagot ng bata, halimbawa, ang letter names po, no, letter names, ang sinabi ng bata ay, instead of saying M, ang sabi niya ay ma, a, sa. So, ang gagawin mo ay X-an. Kung hindi X po ay slash. Pwede pong slash kasi mas madali po mag-mark. So kung mali, i-slashan po. Okay? For 1 minute po, dapat mabasa ng mga bata to. Pero minsan, hindi natatapos ng bata. So kung hindi natapos ng bata, you are going to mark, pwede mong make a circle of the last letter after the 60-second time. Yung time po niya na 60 seconds, after 60 seconds. Okay, kung hanggang Z lang po siya, lalagyan po natin siya ng circle doon sa Z or lagyan niyo po ng bracket, whichever you decide, para malaman po pag circle, alam mo hanggang doon lang ang bata. Pag mga slashes po or cross mark, ibig sabihin mga mali na letters or names ng letters, hindi na name ng bata yung letters appropriately, yung hindi niya na sound off. Alright, unahin po muna natin ang sound. So let's have an example. So halimbawa, ito po yung ating student copy format. So, ito po ay hawak ng mga bata. Ito po ang ginawa ko po nun sa Sister sa Mary, pinalaminate ko po yan, nakalaminate po yan, tapos para pag ginamit ko, hindi masisira kasi para magamit pa rin siya every year. Alright? So we have, I would say, okay, yung 3 letters on top would be my example. So ipapakita ko ngayon sa mga bata facing sa bata. Okay? Sabihin ko, okay, listen to me. What I want you to do in this activity is to name the letters. Okay, name the letters of name the letters starting from this line, okay, from this line going to the right, okay, left to right naman, to right, and then moving to the next row, and so on and so forth. Do you understand? Right. Kung English po, di mag-English ka, pero kung mother tongue po, pero minsan kasi kahit English pa yan, sounds naman po ang ating gustong malaman. So all the sounds in the mother tongue are all present in English, or all the sounds in English are present in the mother tongue and in Filipino. So same po ang instrument para gagamitin po natin. Alright, so we have, okay, let's have an example. Let's practice. For this letter, for me to, I need to name the name this letter. I would say V. Alright, now you try this second letter. Pag sinabi ng bata, oh, no, not the sound, okay? The name of the letter. What's the name of this letter? E, okay. So what about the third letter? S. No. I said name of the letter, not the sound of the letter. Sabi niya, S. All right, very good. So you got it. So again, reminder, what I want you to do is to name the names of this letter starting from this column, going to the left, going to the right, and then moving from one row to another. When I say begin, you begin, and then when I stop, you stop. All right? Ready? Begin. So dire-diretso na bata na. All right? Halimbawa ang bata nag-struggle siya sa isang letter at hindi niya masabi, count to 3 to 5 seconds. Okay? 3 to 5 seconds. Pag hindi nakuha ng bata ng 3 to 5 seconds, sabi mo, it's okay, you move on. Okay? Tapos X mo. Okay? I-X mo yun. Pag no response, X mo pa rin. Hindi alam ng bata. So, continue lang. So, pag huwag sabihin na stop ka na. No. Kung nag-struggle lang isang bata, count, just wait for 3 to 5 seconds and then move on. Baka kasi yung isang letter lang yun. So, ibig sabihin, baka yung letter na yun, hindi na talaga na-recognize pa. Alright? So, the second time, same pa rin na instrument ang gagamitin mo. So, alright, very good. So, kahit mali ang ginawa ng bata, you still say, thank you very much. Very good. Good job. Now, This time, what I want you to do is give me the sounds of these letters. All right, let's have an example. Say, this first letter is V. All right. Again, I will say V because I'm going to give the sound. Now, you try. What's the sound of the second letter? Eh. All right, very good. What's the sound of the second letter? S. Good. Now, when I say begin, you begin. Starting from this column, moving to the left. So, ganun pa rin instruction niya. And then, when I say stop, you stop. All right? Begin. All right. Nakuha po natin, ha? Tapos sabi nyo, sir, pwede ba yan po gamitin natin? Gamitin namin. Okay lang po. Walang problema. Pwedeng ito na rin po gamitin ninyo. Tingnan po ang pagkakasunod-sunod po. That is the order. MASIOEBUTKLYNGRPNGD. Ito po yung order po ng marungko po natin. Alright? So that is for our assessment instrument for letter names and letter sounds. Okay? Next, we have word structure sight words. Okay, the sight words would be how to create one. Sight words are words like does, or who that don't follow the rules of spelling or the 6 syllables types. These words have to be memorized because decoding them is really difficult. Meaning, itong mga words na hindi na kailangan ituro sa bata ng decoding. Hindi bibigyan dapat ng explicit instruction, pero dapat pinapamemorize sa bata. So, bago magsimula ang klase, magsimula ang lesson, palagi magpe-present si teacher ng mga basic sight words. 5 siguro or 10 lang ang hindi makuha ng bata in the whole year. Alright? And next, students are taught to memorize the sight words as a whole by sight so that they can recognize them immediately. A good example would be the article the. Hindi mo siya pwedeng ituro ang decoding kasi hindi pwedeng saying so the na lang agad yan. So pag nakita ng bata, sight words are recognized automatically, okay, with automaticity. So they are taught explicitly to the students. Drilling is one of those exercises that we need to provide to our students, and memorizing, okay? So how do we create sight words for our students? You may use the basic sight words, Dulce or Fries, but they are downloadable. But what you need to do is list the sight words randomly, okay, in a random order, 5 rows to 5 in each row, and then there are 5 in each row, and there are 10 rows. Okay, using a clear, large, and familiar font. For example, Gothic po or Comic Sans. Okay, it's most similar to standard children's books or writing letters in horizontal rows, which each letter presented multiple times. And then administer the assessment by asking students to name not sounds of the letter. Sorry, not nakopya ka lang to. Okay. Administer the assessment by asking students to pronounce the words. Okay, pronounce the words. Tapos, kung ganun din po, kung nag-falter ang bata sa isang word, count 3 to 5 seconds, and then pag hindi niya nakuha, you say, okay, that's okay, you move on to the next word. So, marka mo po ng X o kaya slash kung hindi nakuha ng bata. And then at the end of time din po ito, this should be only for 1 minute. Kung 1 minute po ay hindi po natapos ng bata, yung last word, dapat meron po tayong circle o kaya bracket showing na yun po yung last word na nakuha ng bata. Alright? Sample po natin ng student response sheet po natin. Okay? Ito po yung numbers po natin. So, ibig sabihin ito yung hawak ng nanay o kaya hawak ng teacher. So, kunwari, sinabi ng bata na after, so gagawin mo ng teacher slash okay, ibig sabihin mali ang bata. Ngayon kung ang bata hanggang man lang po siya doon, so lalagyan ng circle, okay, lalagyan niya ng bracket. Ibig sabihin hanggang doon lang po ang bata after 60 seconds. Okay? Ito po ay kinuha ko po sa Fries po. Sa Fries graded sight words. I got it from grade 1 English kasi nga kung grade 1 English naman po tayo, that's enough for grade 3. Kasi nagsisimula po ang ating beginning reading sa oracy po tayo sa grade 1 hanggang second half of grade 2. Beginning reading starts in grade 2, second half up to grade 3. So tamang-tama po ito pang grade 1 sa L1. Okay, after air animal. So dire-diretso po yung mga bata. So hawak po ito. Sir, pwede po namin gamitin yan. Yes, ito naman talaga ang format ng paggawa ng sight word diagnosis. Now, for grade 5 naman, for grade 5, for middle grades naman po, as for the early grades, ganun lang kasimple po ang para sa early grades. For the middle grades naman po, we have synonym and antonym. So, same pa rin po ang procedure, pero mas mahaba siya kasi yung mga cutouts mo, hindi lang po denotation ang kina-cutout mo, kundi pati na ngayon ang mga synonyms and antonyms. Alright? List 10 content words in various categories like science and math. So, dapat yung mga libro mo, dito na ngayon, kukunin mo yung mga words dito sa mga libro ninyo. So, kukunin mo dito yung mga words na can be categorized under denotation, synonyms, at saka antonyms. So, huwag kayong kukuha ng mga words na hindi naman pala na-encounter ng bata sa libro. May mga teachers ang ginagawa po, kumukuha ng mga words sa ibang libro. Wait lang, yung bang ginamit ng bata for the previous year o ito. Kung ito po, dito kayo kumuha ng mga salita. Okay po, sa libro na ito. Okay? Then select pictures that represent the 10 listed content words, their synonyms and antonyms for students too much to pronounce. And then, same po ng administration yan ng sa early grades. Kapag mayroon kang pictures, tapos imamatch po ng bata yung picture with the word, tapos sabi niya yung word. And then, hahanapin niya sa word na yun yung synonym, tapos hanapin niya naman yung word na antonym naman nun. Okay? Or kung may antonym man. Alright? So, ito yung mga words na napili ko sa libro ng Bibal. Dito ko po kinuha sa grade 4. Okay, Learn at Home, Bibal Series, Module, Quarter 1, 4. Pwede po kasing kunin yung mga words from Quarter 1, Quarter 2, Quarter 3 if this is a diagnosis for grade 5. Okay? So you have beautiful, dapat may picture ka doon. So kung wala kayong makitang picture ng nagpapakita ng beautiful, siguro ilagay nyo na lang po ang picture ninyo. Okay? Tapos antonym po ng ugly, picture ko na lang. Sige, para masaya kayo. Happy na kayo? Kayo ang maganda, ako pangit. Okay, sige. So, kunwari tama po, ang nakalagay beautiful picture po ng maganda po, siguro, picture na lang siguro niya, no? Marian Rivera. Well, maganda talaga si Marian Rivera. So, Marian Rivera. And then we have beautiful word. Sabi ng bata, beautiful, correct. Pronunciation po, correct. Pagkatapos noon, papasok naman po natin ng synonym po. Synonym naman po, kasi dire-diretso po yan na checklist po. Sorry, hindi lang kasi magkasya talaga sa aking slide. Naka-landscape po siya. Dire-diretso po siya. So, synonym po niya, beautiful would be, gorgeous. Kunwari ginamit mo ay gorgeous. So, correct. Correct po ang synonym, correct po ang pronunciation. And then, antonym po, you have, kunwari na pili niya naman niya ay ugly. Okay? Alright. Sir, yung mga words ba na gorgeous tsaka ugly, dapat nandun din sa libro? Opo, dapat nanggaling din sa libro. Kasi hindi ka pwedeng kumuha ng mga salita na hindi pala naman na-encounter ng bata. Ang diagnosis is for us to know whether nakuha ng bata ang mga dapat natutunan na salita nung previous grade level at entry level niya ito sa susunod na grade level. So I'm suggesting nga po yung exit test po ng exit vocabulary diagnosis po ng grade 4 would also be the entry level for grade 5. So magtulong po talaga dapat ang mga teachers. Alright, so sample po ito. And then we have words for spelling naman po, assess students' alphabetic principle. So para malaman po natin ang spelling po, this is assessing students' alphabetic principle. Madaling activity lang po, dictation. Malalaman po natin kung ang bata may problema sa spelling and then sa kanyang syntax through dictation. So how do we do dictation? You need to just select, nakalagay po natin po, maximum of 10 words. Okay? Maximum of 10 words. Kasi ang gusto na lang po, gine-check po naman natin dito ay kung alam ng bata ang spelling or na-apply po niya alphabetic principle. So hindi kailangan mahabang-mahaba ang sentence. Alright? So to do this is you may want to choose sentences from the books na nakuha niya. In this case po sa test na to, kinuha ko po sa page 377, science po ang ginamit ko na context. For the middle grades po For the middle grades. Okay? So, sample po tayo. So, first, okay, nakalagay po sa ating instruction po. Sorry. Nakalagay sa instruction po would be, you are going to dictate the sentence 3 times to your student. This is individually, pwede po itong grupo, pero kung sa bahay naman gagawin ng mga magulang, individual na lang po. Alright? So, bibigyan mo na ngayon ng sheet ang bata kung saan niya isusulat ang dinictate. Okay, siguro at the back of the paper of the student response sheet. So dictate the sentence 3 times to the student. Tell the student to listen very well to the whole sentence on the first dictation, that's semantic level dictation. On the second dictation, that will be phrase level, the student will have to write the sentence. So in the first dictation, hindi siya dapat muna nagsusulat. Nakikinig muna siya. So be careful, dapat pakisabi sa mga magulang yung dapat na gagawin. Bakit po? Dahil meaning, dapat naintindihan niya. Anong ibig sabihin ng sentence na yan? Then on the third dictation, word level na po, the student may check his writing word for word. Sample lang po natin ng dictation para sa kung paano dinidictate sa mga bata. Dictation number 1, meaning level. So si teacher or si mother, turuan si mother na ganito po dapat. Maglalagay ka ng slash para sa pagbabasa ng teacher o sa pagbabasa ng numerator o pagbabasa ng magulang. Alright? So plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Harmful talaga. No? Harmful. Okay? Practice na mag-English. Ulitin po natin yung maganda. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. All right, now get your pencil and here's a paper. Now what I want you to do in the second dictation is that you're now going to write the sentence that I will dictate to you the second time around. Okay? Listen carefully. Are you ready? Okay, good. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Sir, ano po yung time ng pagpo-pause? 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, 3 to 5 seconds. So in your mind, count ka lang po. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Pero sa utak mo lang yun ha, huwag kang papakita sa bata na gumaganong-ganong ka. Mararatel ang bata nun. So dapat ikaw lang nag-count. So silent counting lang in your head. Ha? Alright. So habang nagaganon ng bata, titingnan mo lang siya. Okay? Alright. Very good. And that's okay if you have missed words. We still have the third dictation. This time on the third dictation, you may want to check if you wrote the words correctly. Dictation word level na. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Okay, observe na kahit ng word for word po ako, tama pa rin ang aking intonation. Ibang teacher ay plastics are man-made materials. Hindi. Dapat same pa rin po ang tamang intonation ng pagbabasa ng sentence. Kasi para hindi po ma-compromise ang meaning at saka yung pakikinig ng bata. Ulitin po natin. So on dictation 1, okay, dictation 1, do not write anything. So huwag mo ibigay sa bata ang papel at ang pencil. So sabihin mo ay, okay, listen carefully. I will dictate to you the sentence 3 times. On the first dictation, all you have to do is listen to me so that you will understand the whole sentence. On the second dictation, I will dictate to you smaller units, and you're now going to write down the sentence that I will dictate to you. And then I will dictate again the sentence the third time and the final time, and I will pause at every word for you to check whether you wrote the words correctly. All right? Dictation 1. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Good. Here's the pencil and here's the paper. Now, I will dictate to you the sentence the second time around. Now, you write down the sentence I will dictate to you. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Sorry, di ako nag-focus. Or harmful. All right. So, nagsulat ng bata. All right. That's okay if you miss some words. We still have the third and final dictation. So for you to check if the words, you wrote the right words. Plastics are man-made materials that can be useful or harmful. Okay, got that? Kunin mo sa bata, makikita mo na ngayon kung may problema ang bata sa spelling. Okay? Okay, then sight words po ulit. Kukunin niyo po sa sight words po. Ayan po, same po ang format po natin. Kukunin niyo po sa graded sight words. We have 5 graded sight words. 4, 5, 6. Meron na po yan. Pero po sa atin po sa Philippines, since ang 5 basic sight words are for L1, sa atin po ay second language po natin ng English. Therefore, 2 levels higher po sila. So, ibig sabihin, ang kanilang grade 4 na basic sight words atin po ay pang baba kayo 4, 3, 2 pang grade, sorry. Ang grade 4 nila aangat ka ng 2 levels. 4, 5, 6. So ang kanilang grade 4 nila na level na yan, pang grade 6 nila yon. Yung kanilang grade 1 pang nursery siguro natin. So 2 levels higher po sila sa atin. Okay, so we're going to count higher. So kung ito ay grade 4, pang grade 6 yun sa atin. Kung yun po ay grade 3 nila, pang ano po natin yan, 3, 4, pang grade 5. Okay, so that's how we do it for the basic sight words for English. Sorry. And then for the content words po na ganito naman po ay all you have to do is for the synonyms and antonyms po, ulitin ko po, ay dapat kinukuha po natin sa mga libro na nakaginamit ng mga bata. Alright, student copy. Ang gagawin po natin ulit po, kung mali ang bata, slash po. This is time po, dapat 1 minute lang po. And then may samples po ang bata, babasahin. So sabihin po niya, okay, let's read the first word. I will read the first word, stood. Okay, now you read the second word, base. Very good. Now what about the third word? No, very good. Now I want you to read all the words, starting from left to right on the first row, going down. Okay, and I'll be giving you 1 minute. When I say begin, you begin. And when I say stop, you stop. Okay? Ready and go. Kunwari akong estudyante. Able. Sorry. Magta-time ka po ha. Pag sinabi mong start, click mo agad ang yung cellphone and begin. Okay? Able, ago, am, among, ball, behind, both, brought, building, cannot, check, carefully, class, clear, common, equation, explain, machine, material, built, surface, system, circle, game, dark, heavy, rest, shape, fact, wheels, verb, weight, deep, language, nothing, heat, weak, plain, dawn, filled, finally, less, gave, known, island, stars, ocean, produce, thousand strong. Ibang galing ko. All right, so that's about for the basic vocabulary diagnostic tools that I will be teaching you, and decoding skills diagnostic tools creation would be tomorrow afternoon. So do you have any questions about what we just discussed? So Jillian, do I still have enough time? Yeah.
Thank you very much, brother. Let us proceed to the question and answer portion. Our first question is from Rose Ann Argao. Is an individual who has a poor retention could also be considered as someone who has a poor vocabulary skills?
Not necessarily. That would fall under memory skills deficit, but it would also, the memory deficit skills of our students will also have a great bearing on students' vocabulary skills acquisition or learning vocabulary. Therefore, a lot of teachers would say may vocabulary or comprehension problem bata. Hindi po, meron po siyang memory skills deficit. So unahin niyo po muna natin ang pag-provide ng intervention skills sa bata on memory skills. Minsan kasi hindi na identify ng teacher kung ang problema ng bata ay comprehension skills or memory skills deficit. Ang tawag po natin doon ay retention and retrieval of information. So if you want to know about how to teach students retrieval skills and storing and recalling information, you may want to review my session on developing and enhancing memory skills through graphic presentations. Okay, thank you very much for that question. That is a very, very good question because yan po ang problema ng mga teachers in the field. Hindi naman sinasabing hindi naman kasi lahat ng teachers have been trained to do proper diagnosis for literacy. Hindi nila distinguish ang comprehension problem from memory skills. Sir, kung memory skills ang problema, kung may memory skills po ang problema, may memory skills deficit po ang bata, would they have problems with literacy? Definitely, because nga reading is a mental activity. So if our students have memory skills, working memory skills deficit, definitely they will have problems with their comprehension. So huwag nyo po munang bigyan ng intervention on comprehension. Kung na-identify nyo na ang problema pala talaga ay memory skills ng bata, then memory skills po. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Our next question is from Judith Valenzuela. Paano po kung ang parents ay in denial sa result na mayroon problem sa vocabulary skills ang bata based po sa assessment sa kanya at ang teachers ang sinisisi nito?
Alam mo yun po, so in my encounter with my years of experience as a reading specialist hired by schools, one of the many problems of teachers is giving the results or telling the parents the results of the diagnosis. Kasi may mga magulang po talagang denial kasi feeling nila. Yun pong sinasabi ko dati na importante po na meron kayong specialista sa mga schools ninyo na hinahire, especially for the public and private schools, or idinedesignate ang school na literacy, reading and literacy specialist para sila po talagang kumakausap. Kasi minsan ang mga magulang po ay nakikinig po sa specialista. Sorry for the eye, pero kasi di ko po maintindihan kung bakit sa lipunan po ng Pilipinas ang baba ng tingin sa mga teachers na dapat ang taas ng tingin ng lipunan sa mga teachers kasi tayo po ang nakakaalam kung ano ang pangailangan ng mga bata at ginagawa po natin ang tamang proseso ng pagdadiagnose ng mga bata. Pero tama po kayo, may marami mga magulang na in denial, but there's a way to handle parents on counseling. We will have a session on that the coming October. Nag-propose na po ako on guidance counseling online. So these are some of the services that we can provide to our parents. So minsan po kung ang mga magulang po ang ating tinuturuan para mag-diagnose, minsan ang results po ay hindi tama ang results kasi nga gusto nila palagi ay ang kanilang anak. So yan po ang malaking, to be honest, bakit ang diagnosis po sa Pilipinas ay hindi nag-take flight at hindi po naging effective because of that wrong notion from parents na ang diagnosis ay like any ordinary assessment, classroom assessment. Hindi nila alam na ang diagnosis ay para malaman po ng teacher at saka ng school ano pa ang dapat ituro at itulong pa ng teacher at saka ng school sa bata. At dapat, especially ngayon po nga learning at home po ang mga bata, I believe that there will be emerging problems from our students. Lalaki po ang reading at literacy problems ng our students. Okay, so I'd love to have a session on how to teach beginning reading online. So I hope there will be a session on that. Thank you very much po.
Thank you, brother. That's all the questions we have for now. Any last reminders to our viewers for today po?
Okay, thank you. That was quick. Okay, thank you very much. Parents and teachers out there, I hope you learn a lot. Don't worry, nilagay ko po sa slides ang mga specific steps on how to create each diagnostic tool. Also for tomorrow's creation of diagnosis tools for decoding, ilalagay ko po para po in PDF format po ng aking PowerPoint, masusundan nyo pa rin kung paano gumawa. Okay? So, just, conclusion and challenges for you, just, short statements though. So vocabulary learning research with students with learning disabilities over the last 25 years has repeatedly reported that teachers should provide students with, okay, explicit vocabulary instruction. Ang mga estudyante daw po natin nagkakaroon ng vocabulary deficit dahil po hindi nabibigyan po ng mga teachers ng explicit vocabulary instruction. May mga teachers po na nakakalimutan na po ang lacking difficult words or difficult concepts. Importante po yun na talagang, especially for the early grades and the middle grades, na magturo po ng explicit teaching of vocabulary. Okay? And the next, repeated exposure to the new words. So, paulit-ulit po talaga. It's, especially for the sight words, talagang memorize po talaga yun sa mga bata. Araw-araw po ng klase. Now, kung ako po sa inyo din po mga teachers out there, bigyan niyo po ng kopya ang mga magulang na mga basic sight words from grades 1 up to in English, Filipino, and mother tongue. Ibigay po sa mga magulang para po paulit-ulit po araw-arawin o bago matulog ang bata, ipabasa ay memorize. So dapat ang teacher, mga magulang mo na magbabasa nun, tapos gayahin ng mga bata. Modeling lang po talaga yan. So again, drilling and memorization. Sight words nga po eh. Sufficient opportunities to use words and activities such as writing And ibig sabihin, kailangan pong i-allow po mga bata na tinuro natin yung words. I don't have time. Okay, to writing and speaking and writing. And strategies to help determine word meanings independent, like dictionary use. Later na po, siguro, nagkaroon na po tayo ng session on teaching vocabulary, how to teach vocabulary to students. So you may want to review on ano yung mga strategies for the early grades and the middle grades in order to help our students acquire strategies for word attack. And then, skills and meaning should not be separated. Ibig sabihin, kahit tinuturo po natin yung sound, tinuturo natin yung letter, dapat may context ka ng word. Kaya pinakita ko kanina, may picture ka, may word ka, tapos ipo-pronounce ng bata. Hindi lang dapat word, hindi lang pwedeng pronunciation, dapat na ma-match po niya sa pictures or concepts. Okay? And finally, instruction is systematic. Dapat po nakasystematize po kung anong ituturo po natin, especially for the patterns. Tomorrow I'll discuss to you ano po yung order ng pagtuturo ng patterns, word patterns in Filipino and English. When it is planned, deliberate, and application. So dapat alam po ng bata para matutunan din po niya ang spelling. Spelling is taught via word patterns. And if we are able to teach our students all these word patterns, not just by the language teachers, but all teachers teaching using the language, our students will acquire vocabulary skills. With that note, thank you very much. Last na po plan. There is no substitute for ongoing documentation. Yung po sinasabi ko, document the diagnosis, the results of your students, every grade level, and then ilagay po yan sa student profile so that teachers can do profiling. Go back to my session po on student profiling para makita nyo na doon pala nilalagay yun para malalaman ng mga teachers gano'n karaming mga salita ang alam ng bata sa mother tongue, sa Filipino, at saka sa English. Tapos from these words, pwede si teacher po mag-extend the meaning of these words to synonyms and antonyms and even to other contexts and associations. With that, thank you very much for staying with me. I know I did an overtime, so I hope to see you tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock for our session on creating diagnostic tools for decoding skills in the early grades. Thank you very much and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you very much, brother. There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this eye-opening and insightful learning session. It is an honor to have you with us today, brother. And to all our Vibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vibal Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat.
Good evening.